G'day everybody. I'm here to share with you my Australian KGV the 5th stamps. So we'll point down and we'll go through this collection that I've had for quite a few years, but they still need to be sorted out. So I've just got back into collecting again, got a bit more time off, and I thought I'd share the first few of what I've done over the last 20 years, and then I'll fix them up over the next year and then I'll shoot them again. Hopefully I can put them a bit more order. At the moment, this is our first watermark, and as you can see, I've collected more than just one. There's mint unhinged, mint lightly hinged and used, and then you can see I started finding different colors, and it's like, oh, which one do I collect? A lot of people just pick one, but I don't know, look at that, two distinct colors. So you just got to keep them, don't you, really? There's the orange version. Probably a bit harder to pick up the different color changes there. Oh, and this is inverted watermark. So what does that mean? I think basically for the uninitiated, I don't know if we can see that. Where did I put that? Right there. The watermark is upside down. See that? You can just see the crown there, and there's the A. I'll put that down the side. Here's our 1 pennies. These up the top here still have to be sorted out, the different variations. So I've got to find the single line perf. There's some used versions of that. It's a smooth paper, which I've just got to learn a bit more about to understand how I can select those a bit better. And then you've got the rough paper. As you can see, it's not as smooth, the print. There you go, that's a better version of it. Then I look at this version. Look at that. Die 2 rough. So just trying to find that comb perforation is fairly hard. Get that sorted out a bit more. There you go, 1.5 brown. So as I've gotten more stamps, I just shoved them in here, thinking, oh, I'll sort these out. I'll sort these out. As you can see, I started off just putting them nicely by themselves, but then I've found extra colors. So what I'm going to do is put each single stamp by itself with its variations. Look at that, that's a soft on the nose. A thin paper. I like these ones, the blues, 3D. It's nice. Oh, look at that. 4D. I'd like to call it a yellow or lemon yellow, but it's one of those ones that's very hard. You can look at that, you can even see the watermark through the stamp. Look at these. They're very hard to determine. What I'd call lemon yellow and what someone else would call it, two different things. Look at that. Nice West Australian. If it just was not double stamped as much, it'd be perfect. Look at that. That's an orange. It's the same stamp but different colour. That's what people don't get when they're trying to sell their collections. They don't understand the variations of colours and the different in price. Look at that. See how that slowly just changes colour? So how can you just pick one stamp? Oh, these are nice. 4D violet. First watermark again. There you go. They call it, I think that's good there. They call it a single watermark. Look at that. Olive. There you go, here's your different colours of olive. Look at that. You can see that quite clearly, different colour. Just to think that stamp went through Wagga Wagga. Still on the first watermark. Look at that, 4.5. It's quite nice. There's nice. Look at that colour change from there to there. Look at that. That's complete. That's like a tan. So you have to keep those because it's just completely different looking stamp. I've just got a few of these, a mint, and again they've got a slight colour disfigurate. Yeah, discoloration. They're the used versions. Quite an attractive looking stamp. There we go. I've got OS again. Don't really trust too many OS stamps these days, though they look really good. Try and get them from reputable dealers, but even then sometimes they may get tricked. Too many people punching holes in these things. So I don't really chase these, but if they're in a collection I get, I'll put them in. Be nice if people didn't try to rip everybody off. There we go. Another watermark. We've got my OS. As you can see a lot of these OS stamps are usually the stamps are seconds. They've got big borders or no borders. The leftover stamps are not really that well, so they're given for official use. Throw in the corner. There we go. It's a multi watermark, or large multi watermark. Yeah, look, this whole album needs to be really sorted out. These here are just pretend cutouts to say this is what I'm missing, but I've sort of got them, a lot of them. No watermark. Yep, haven't got those, no OS. Right, so then we've got our first multi-watermark, but this is perforation 14.25 by 14. And as people would know, you would use a normal perforation gauge like this. Alrighty-o. So you'd use a perforation gauge like this, and you'd run the perforations up against the gauge to figure out what ones you got, and it takes hours. If you got hundreds, you got to sort through. But it's all fun. All right, here we go, the half. Beautiful. Look at these. As you can see, the colour's a lot more consistent. A lot of these, you know, you can look for them, but rightio, again, mouldy. Look at that. It's supposed to be worth $175. Mint unhinged. So I like to go through and put, you know, each reference, like reference each of the stamps. Plus it provide my loved ones with an idea of how much the collection's worth. But as we all know, that stamp may be worth $75, $175, but you'd be lucky to get, you know, a third of that from a dealer. They need to get their profit. These are 150 each, but they're not really, because what lowers the price and people don't realise is, see this edge? It's all missing. It's got a nice big wide margin there, but nothing there, so that lowers the price. So they're not fully $150. There we go. Look at that, that looks nice. There's our violet. Look at that. Oh, that's put on nicely, that cancel. And this one is a bit of a ripper, 375, and it's fairly well got all its perfs and fairly well centered. Fortunately, it's mintly lightly hinged. If it was mint unhinged, it'd be perfect. These are even 150 each, but they're missing a short perf here and there. Rightio. Our OS. Oh, and by the looks of it, we've bought something that needs to be sorted out. So we'll go through those later. Rightio. Now we've got that multi again, but it's perforation 13.5 by 12.5. And there's a lot of these ones because they're fairly cheap, so you collect a lot of them. I don't really like the 1D that much, the green. You just see so many of them. So the 1.5s. They've got a lot of little things wrong with them, but you'd be spending hours trying to find them in perforations. There we go. Sort of this probably help people too if they got their collections from their grandparents. If I can put dollar figures in, I might give them an idea, but what people have to remember is dealers are not going to pay a lot for these things. You'll be better off breaking it up and selling on eBay or another website. Auctions will take a lot of cut as well. Look at that. Might be worth that, but I'd never sell them. I think I have to bury these with me. Look at that. So there we go. Look, dull blue type A, dull blue type B, pale dull blue dye 1 type A, dye 1 type B. So all these 4 stamps, all different. So I might go through and do a video on what makes them all different. But if you go through this book again that I've pointed out, it would explain everything. It's nice and thick, and that's just on KGV stamps. Very interesting to read at night. Just so interesting trying to find all the variations. There we go again. Multi, perf. Look at that. I'd love to say that's a $90 stamp, but see how the perforations, one's really close. It's not a perfect stamp. Probably half that value. That looks nice. Very nice. Oh, look at this baby. There's all these people out there looking at this and they think, why are you just holding it onto this stamp? But it's a gorgeous looking stamp. Gorgeous. My favourite pastime is looking through other people's stamp collections. I love seeing how way people set them out, what they've got, what they've found. And that's really what it is. It's not about what they got. It's what they found and how they found it or how they got it. It's those stories. There's the OS. I was thinking of pushing all the OS at the back of the book, like I did with the kangaroos, because it just hurts every time I see all the missing spots. And I don't want to go spend money on these things because they're so easily replicated by people, fakers. Look at that one, soft on the nose. All right, Commonwealth of Australia on the home run. As you can see, a lot of this hasn't been put together properly. Look at that one, that's a bit darker, isn't it? That's nice. I reckon there'd be a lot of you out there looking at me at the moment or this album and just going, oh, you've got so much to do. How much fun. That's exactly right. I've spent a lot of time just buying and collecting and throwing it in there, and I now have to remember why I bought that particular stamp. What was so interesting about it? Look at that, Maui. I used to live down near there. Yellow, brown. Look at that, even those two, slightly different. These ones, look at that, 3 different colours. Can't tell me there's 3 different colours. Socked on the nose. Oh, just a few of these. These are worth a fair bit. No one there, probably the end's not because the perf's been taken off. There's cancelled to order. See how the perfect sort of stamp goes around the outside? That's what they wanted to do back in the day, not, you know, not destroy the stamp. But now people look for socked on the nose. Like, I even find that star there on the late fee. That's pretty cool. Streaky Bay. That'd be beautiful. It's right on the top. And look at these ones. Bondi. That's a classic. Now, these are impossible to get. People just didn't want these type of stamps because they were, you know, the stamp cancel, the cancel was on top of the stamp. Now you can't find them anywhere. Everyone's chasing them. But how beautiful does that page look? A couple of the OS's. It's nice. I think these are just leftovers from the swaps. Yeah, more swaps. Once I go through and make sure I've got the best of the best, and then I can just go along to a few club meets. Well, these are a few socked on the nose that I've collected. I think I'm going to start including these in my major collection because they just make everything look so much better. Look at that. Nice, nice. Look at that, beautiful. And these were full before, so I think I've been pulling a few of them out. Look at those. Oh, I love this. So I love going through and finding out what towns they're from, and then looking on Google if they've never heard of the town and going, where is that? I've never heard of that. Ardrossan. Another town never heard of. South Australia. I've been there, but just never come across them. Carnarvon. Sebastian, Victoria. Buchan South. I have been there. I was in defence. I used to teach at officer training school, and we used to go to Buchan and take people out for training. There we go. Look at these. It's my collection of socked on the nose. I think these could be interspersed in the major collection. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, more. Beautiful. Look at those. Look at that purple 4.5D. That's nice. Look at that, it's nearly perfect too. Look at that one. Oh, here we go. Here's some better ones. Just trying to go slowly so it stays in focus. I think stamp collectors, we can look at these for hours. If I do it slow enough, you can stop on something and look at it. Feel free to put in the comments if I've gone past something and it's worth $1 million, which I know nothing's worth $1 million, but if something jumps out at people and you go, hey Jeff, the stamp on this page, this time of the video, you better highlight that sucker, that's worth a bit. Some of these, oh, it's got a bit of cancer. I'll have to remove that one. I keep all my stamps, and a bit of cancer. I keep all my stamps now in sleeves, so they're in proper albums, and then those albums are placed in sleeves to keep as much air out as possible to stop the cancer. If anyone's got them in those cheap Chinese books, remove your stamps as quick as possible. They just destroy your stamps. The amount of auctions I go to now, trying to find stamps to buy, and people have still got their stamps in these old Chinese albums, and they just got toning all the way through. Alright, so more inverted watermarks. I'm not going to go through all those. It's not worth anything, but I don't know, they're a bit boring. Oh, these are dual stamps. I know people like them when they're together. I like it because you can see the postmark better. There we go. So I might be able to find some things out on these ones. I think that was from a pre-stamped envelope. They look nice. I'm getting right through the whole book. It's nice. Again, these are just all $1. That looks good. Yeah, just quickly go over these. I don't think anyone wants to see those. Ooh, bit of colour. These ones look good. South Singleton. Canberra FCT. A lot older. Spare OS. If anyone needs some of these for their collection, let me know. Not many high values, unfortunately. About it. Just leftovers now. It's all sad. Oh. Fiji, Victorian government. So different perforations. T's, yeah. T's, Tasmania, WA, West Australia. So the governments had their own. There's new government of New South Wales. Oh, that was my pie shop back in the day. Yeah, that's good. That's Donnybrook. I used to live in an old place called Curup in West Australia. That's where that pie shop was. Famous Curup Deli homemade pies. And a friend of mine drew that But this stamp I found, Donnybrook, is just right next door to Kira. So I love collecting those things that are close to home. That's it. All right. Thanks a lot for joining me. We'll go through a few other albums over the next couple of weeks. See you later, guys. Catch ya.